Hi, this is Real Estate Ron here to talk about becoming a landlord. This might be something that you want to do on your own. Maybe you're moving out of the house you're in to a bigger home. You want to keep the one you're in and rent it out. Or perhaps you're moving away for some reason to take a job or some other type of relocation to move to a new area. And you want to keep your home in the local area while you make that move and generate some extra income. So I'm going to go through a couple of things in preparation. I'll start with the asking rent. If you're looking for standard terms on a rental, you can easily and quickly go online and check for rentals in your immediate area and find the rental rate that your home would rent for. This will give you the financial basis to figure out, after paying all of your expenses, maybe your mortgage, taxes, and insurance and maintenance, what you should expect to have as free cash flow after all of those expenses come into play. So this would be your first step in researching whether or not it's viable to keep your place as a rental. Other things to think about after you've gone through the financial analysis is a deep cleaning, a thorough cleaning of all surfaces. Get the home ready to show, and it should be clean because you want it in that same state back from a tenant after you rent to them. And then the last thing is to deal with maintenance and repairs. There's routine ongoing maintenance like having your furnace serviced and cleaned, or other types of regular maintenance that are performed on the systems in your home. And then you might have other repairs that are deferred, or some deferred maintenance that would come into play that you would want to make sure they get fixed so the home is going to perform over time for the tenant without a lot of problems. So those are the preparation tasks. And then you come down to finally the decision of, do you want to manage it yourself or hire a local property manager? I managed a 3-unit rental property from 800 miles away. I did that for 2 or 3 years. It's certainly possible to remotely manage a property, but a lot more difficult than managing a local property. So you don't have the ability to stop in and see what is going on. That will probably raise your costs over time if you're managing it yourself remotely. If you want to look into a property manager, I have a series of things to think about, issues or items to ask a potential property manager so that you can judge whether or not they're a good fit for you. The first one is to screen the tenants. Are they going to do proper screening of an application, including running a credit report, a background check, and an eviction record search? That's critical to vetting a future tenant. And then the flip side of that, how do they handle evictions? Is that outsourced? Do they represent you in the eviction process? And what's their track record and experience on that? So those are like the two sides of the tenant process. But in between, you have to manage the tenant relationship. It's critical to acknowledge problems and give steps to resolve them if there's a maintenance or issue on the property. So you want to manage that tenant relationship in a way that they're happy and that they recognize that things might go wrong that are outside of everyone's control, and how quickly did you acknowledge and deal with that problem. So that's managing the tenant relationship. I always say you want to keep that tenant in there at least 2 years or longer. So maintaining and managing that relationship with the tenant so you're on good terms is critical to keep them in there for a long time. That means you have to either perform maintenance yourself or coordinate it with outside vendors. And then finally, what level of reporting would a property manager do if you hired them? Do they produce monthly reports? Do they give you copies of all bills? How promptly do they pay you? You have the incoming rent, you have some bills to pay, and then how promptly do they report on that? Do they provide copies of everything and get you your money as a landlord quickly? And so that's important, as well as an annual report or review of annual maintenance or upcoming maintenance, so that you as an owner can plan for that maintenance. You have advance notice that in May, we're going to be doing some outdoor work every year. You're going to be paying an extra bill on landscape maintenance. As an example, it may not even be applicable, but those are the kinds of things that a good property manager will work with an owner to identify and help in the planning process. So hopefully you find this video to be helpful on being a landlord, some things to think about if that's in your long-term goal.